Hey, welcome back to the Elevate Your Running podcast. I'm here with Hailey Fisher today. I'm so excited to talk to Hailey. You might remember Hailey from episode 174. She joined us this spring on the podcast with her brothers, Mark and Grant Fisher, to talk all about their childhood, their sports in their youth, and how it translated into what they're all doing now to our professional runners. And I'd like to say Hailey's also a badass in all things sport. You're so awesome. Welcome back to the podcast, Hailey.
Thanks, Sarah.
It's super fun to have you here. So we're recording this. I'm not exactly sure when this episode's going to air, but we are recording it it's during World Champs. The 10K, which your brother participated in, was yesterday. We have the 5K coming up. We were offline talking about all things World Champs and not just the 10,000 meters or the 5,000 meters, but also the marathon and just all the things that kind of go into those races and the mindset and how interesting those races are because we were talking about like the yo-yo effect of the race and how for the 10,000 meters and how interesting that is because typically when we go out for a race, it is something that is just a little bit more smoother or we show up to blow up. It's not this yo-yo style of pacing, but that's what happened in the 10,000 meters on Sunday. But today we're talking all about Hailey and her fiance Ian and conquering the Imogene Pass, which starts in Ouray, Colorado, which is in southwest Colorado, all the way to Telluride, which is over 16 miles of running. And I'm super excited for this convo and this chat to hear about your experience, Hailey. But for everyone who may not have caught episode 174 or just wants a refresher, who is Hailey and give a little bit about your running background?
Yeah, I'm Hailey. I joined the Elevate group earlier this year for coaching, and it's been a pleasure. It's been so much fun. It has been. I've loved it. It's been fun coaching people, and Sarah has given me wonderful girls to coach. They have been awesome. But yeah, I started running back in middle school. I did cross country and track in middle school. And then during high school, did not do any running, but had been playing soccer for many years. Unfortunately, with my soccer schedule between high school and travel soccer, it overlapped too much with cross country and track in high school. And at the time, I was focusing on playing soccer in college, so I had to unfortunately not do track and cross country in high school. And then throughout college played soccer, and then after college I was done with soccer and I didn't really know what I wanted to do, but I knew I needed to do something. And so I was like, you know what, running's in my genes, running's in my blood, and we're just gonna give this a go again. Because I feel like when you're young, it could be more of like a forceful thing of like, oh, I have to go run. Maybe it's more of like a social thing to be with friends when you're young. And I feel like there's a very small percentage of people that actually at that young age, it's like, yes, I love running. I want to do this. I want to keep doing this. So I was the first part. I was like, hey, the running's going to help me with soccer. I get to hang out with my friends. This is going to be fun. But I was never the type of person to be wanting someone to tell me what to do with running. Like, oh, today I want you to go run 4 miles. Today I want you to go do a track workout. That just wasn't my cup of tea when I was younger. But going forward, back to college, I was like, you know what, let me just try it. Let me just try it after soccer. And I trained for my very first half marathon after undergrad, and I ended up falling in love with it. With the training, with the race, and have pretty much stuck with running ever since. And yeah, have been slowly ticking away at that half marathon time. That's my favorite distance by far. Love it. I love the halves. So I'm racing again in January, and I'm going to try to go for a 1:30, but we will see how that goes.
And that's amazing. Are you going back to the same race?
Mm-hmm. Going back to Austin. So there's actually two races in Austin. So those that are listening, don't get these two confused.
They're very different courses.
They're very different courses. So the one that I did is now called Austin International Half Marathon. And that one is a point to point. You start outside of the city and you run basically right into the city onto the University of Texas campus, more or less. And that one is a very gradual, slight downhill with a little bit of rolling hills between like mile 8 to 10 ish. That is the one that I got my most recent PR with, and I'm going back in January to do that race again. The other Austin race is the week after, I believe, or sometime close in like
Like the
January,
month
February
after.
frame.
Yeah.
And that one is drastically different. I don't know how many people PR in that race. I mean, you could, but that is a lot more hilly. The course is much different. It does not follow the same course as the Austin International half.
Mm-hmm.
And I mean, people are welcome to do it. I know people who have done it, but
Yeah.
I don't know. If you want to do a nice, fun, fast half at sea level, if you're up at altitude, that's a good one. It's smaller. It's a much smaller race.
Yeah.
The race weekend, I believe, is the same weekend as Houston as well.
It is.
That's what I thought. And I know Houston is drastically bigger because I have also ran at Houston for the half. I've done that one as well.
Okay, so interesting. I have so many questions. First, I want to give a shout out to Sarah H. if she's listening. I coached Sarah, and she did this 3 half marathon season where she ran the Decker half in December, which is right outside of Austin, I believe. She ran the or the
It
international.
used to be called 3M.
So Austin International half in January, and then she ran the hilly Austin half in February, and she absolutely crushed it. Now, you absolutely crushed your last half in 2025, so it's going to be really cool to see what you create in 2026. A lot of your Elevate community is going to be right down the road in Houston.
Yes.
We have a huge team this year. I'm most likely going to be there to support as a coach. Unless something goes sideways with the Chicago race and whether I'm racing it or not, I might race Houston because it is so fast and flat. I want to get back to your younger years in soccer. I don't think this was a question that I got to ask you when you were on the podcast earlier this year, but when you were in soccer practice, did your coach have you run laps around like the soccer field as quote unquote punishment for anything? Because I hear that from soccer players all the time. And it's something that like really turns kids away from running. So I want to know if that happened to you. But you obviously come from such a strong running family background. Both of your parents ran in college. One of your brothers is a very competitive, if not one of the best runners in the world. So you have genes on your side, but did that happen for you as a child?
From what I can recall, it was never a punishment with
Mm-hmm.
the running for soccer. I think you can get to a certain point in whatever athletic career you want to be in,
Yeah.
and you might have a coach that, yes, they might say, oh, this is punishment for X, Y, and Z. We're going to start doing suicide sprints. I was pretty fortunate, and most of my coaches viewed it as purposeful for like training. So they never said like, oh, this
Nice.
is a punishment. They're like,
Yeah.
okay, yep, we're gonna do practice, and then at the end of practice, we're gonna get on the line and we're gonna do the suicides, and it's gonna make you stronger. But I don't think they ever used the language of like, oh, you guys didn't do well, like get on the line, we're gonna start doing sprints.
Yeah.
It
That's
was
great.
always, yeah, it was always like, hey, we're going to do this to make you a better athlete. We're going to do this to make you a better soccer player.
What a great
Did it? Was it
feeling.
not fun? Yeah, absolutely. And doing suicide sprints, going from like one touch line to the other touch line, or going the half and back. Yeah, wasn't fun. But at the end, I think it mentally makes you more stronger, and just overall makes you a stronger athlete. At least for the soccer side of things.
Well, it's such a great reframe. And like, we could absolutely use that as adult runners. Anytime we get a workout that looks really hard on paper, or sometimes it looks easy on paper, and then we get into it, and we're like, oh, this is actually not as easy as I thought.
Mhm.
Like, reframing it to say, like, this is actually helping me become a better runner versus, like, the negative self talk is so easy. And I think it's what a lot of runners just naturally go for. But the fact that your coach put it in that positive mindset is a great coach and saying you're
Yeah.
going to be better for it. Yeah. I love that. Okay. So you're going after a sub 130, sub 90.
I don't know about sub 130. If I can get in the 130, like even if it's 130.59, I will be pretty happy about that.
Yeah.
I ran a 130 high 134 this year.
Yeah.
And yeah, I had a really big PR. I PR'd by 10 minutes in that,
Yeah. Which is
which
so
was huge.
incredible.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it's like you're in your running journey of like finding these really big improvements, and it's obviously not finished yet because you're such a talented runner. Like, I've seen you run and I've seen your workouts. So like, yeah, you can absolutely go after it and take another big chunk off of that time. In my experience of chasing 90, it took like 3 tries to do
Mhm.
it. 2 out of the 3 tries were absolutely weather based. Like, one was in Houston, one was at grandma's. Both were like extremely warm, extremely humid. One I showed up super flat for because I flew in like the night before. And
Mhm.
that was my last, like, oh, I'm flying in the night before an ankle race. And then Houston was warm, 60
Mhm.
degrees, 90% humidity at the start. And I blew up at mile 10. So, like, that's going to happen, right? But I went in a very similar way to you. It's like taking a big chunk off. I ran like a 134, 135, then I dropped down to like 132, and then I just kind of flirted with like 131 low, like 131.01 to 132 mid, and I just kind of flirted with like 3 races right in that same kind of area. And
Mhm.
some people crush it in one take, so it's going to be really great. What we know is that you have a lot of confidence on that race course and you have a whole fall to train, which is going to be pretty incredible. So after your half marathon PR in January, you went after a 5K PR this spring in Wash
Mhm.
Park in Denver. You ran a super strong race. You PR'd at altitude, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
love it.
Yeah.
What is your favorite thing about the 5K? I'm curious.
Ooh, I don't race the 5 that often, and that's a bad thing to say. I should race the 5 more often. There's many reasons why you should race shorter
I
distances
know.
more often than distance riders like to race. But I mean, you're done quick. It hurts. It hurts
I
for three
know.
miles, but then you're done. And the nice thing about the 5s too is that you don't need to take that much recovery time.
I
I was
know.
fine the next day and I was out doing my usual runs the next day, which was nice compared to let me go do a marathon and be recovering for a week. Oh, let me go do a trail race and be recovering for a week plus maybe.
Yeah, we're going to get to that. I was on your
Yeah,
Strava today.
this morning's run was really rough. I got excited yesterday because I was like, oh, I'm finally like feeling good. I like went out for a run yesterday feeling fantastic. And then this morning when I ran, I was like, I feel like a lead block, like my whole body. I was like, my legs feel so just like not ready to start running again. So we'll see. We'll see. I might just have
Yeah.
to take it a little easier going back into running again. Yeah, for the 5, yeah, you're done. You're done
Yeah.
quickly. I think that's probably my favorite part of the 5.
It's
It's fun to run fast though too, and run fast for
yeah.
those 3 miles compared to the type of pace you would do for like a marathon or a half marathon. You're going to
Yeah.
be running slower. So yeah, you get to feel fast, which is kind of fun as well.
Yeah, 100%. It can be a really great day. There's always lessons learned. It's always going to get hard. I think that's one of
Mhm.
the things I always stress to athletes when they're showing up for like a 5K, 10K, really any race distance, but I feel like the 5K, 10K the mile, there's something different about the way it feels, the way the hard feels, that like it's like foreign. So to be able to like work through that, or no, like you might pull back a little bit only to surge and get faster in the last mile, is a pretty cool thing. I call those races, I show up to blow up because
Mhm. That was
more
me.
times than not, that's what happens, especially at altitude. If you go
Mhm.
anaerobic, you are done. You're absolutely done. You're not running anything fast. So it's finding that balance between what you're capable of, what you can do without going anaerobic, and having a really great day. We just had a really fun race in Denver called the Rhino 5K, and one of my teammates raced it, and we were texting today, and I'm like, I would love to pace you in a 5K. Same with you, Hailey. I'd love to pace you in a 5K, and like let's see if we can like hold when things get hard, and see if we can find kind of that breakthrough. It's an interesting distance for sure to train. If you train a full season and you end up, let's say you run 3 or 4 or 5Ks, every 5K that you're running, you're getting this training stimulus that's so fun. And I mean, not fun in the moment, but you are getting the training stimulus from it. In addition to the workouts, you're going to have that breakthrough day. It's just a matter of like, how long does it take to do that? And then once you get it, it just feels so good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, I agree.
I loved it too because the day that you ran the 5K, your brother also ran a 5,000-meter race, and he ran it pretty strong, I believe. So follow
Mhm.
Hailey on Instagram. I think you created a really funny post of like side by side snapshots of like the two of
Yeah.
you, and that you both got the PRs for the day. Your parents had to
Mhm.
be extremely proud, and it's fun content. So I want to transition into this trail race that you did. It's the Emojine run, I guess. You can't
Yeah, I
really
think that's what
race
it's
it.
called.
I wanna keep calling it a race, but it's, like, not really a race, even though their
No.
website calls it a run. So, I've heard of this race. It's in Southwest Colorado. I had a friend run it a few years ago, and all I knew is that it sells out quickly, it's
Mhm.
really pretty, and it's also really hard. That's all I know. That's all I know. I did a little bit of research to kind of get more deets on this so we have context for our listeners. But I'm going to share a little bit about the point to point course, and then we'll dive into it. So, the Imogene Pass is a high mountain pass from the towns of Ouray to Telluride, and it is over the pass. So you start at
Yeah.
7,800 feet of elevation. You climb approximately 5,500 feet over the course of 16.6 miles. The highest point, which I believe you and your fiance have a picture at, is
Mhm.
13,920 feet, which means your breathing is very shallow. It's very labored. It's also incredibly beautiful. It looked like kind of a bluebirdish, well, there were some clouds in the sky, but just a really nice mix of sun and clouds. And then you continue down the pass and you end in Telluride at 88, basically 8,800 feet. And again, this is over 16.67 miles. That to me sounds wild. It seems insanely cool though. I've done one race in Telluride, and it was kind of on a whim. It was on the 4th of July, 2019. I drove down there after attending running camp, which is like the famous running camp that I went to that made me decide to be a running coach, all the things, have the running camps. And I ended up running up the side of Telluride Mountain. It was like a mile, 2 miles, something like that. I think it was 2 miles because it took me about 45 minutes to get to the top. And like local kids were just passing me left and right. And like, it was insane. So I can't even imagine 16.67 miles. I think it took you under 5 hours to complete, which was incredible. What made you decide to go after this trail race this summer?
So my fiance actually has done this race before. On our first date, he actually told me about this race. I had never heard of it, and so he told me about the race. He struggled. He struggled when he did it for the first time. He felt so much better this time. But
Great.
I had some tips and tricks for him
Yeah,
compared to
your
when
training
yeah,
coach.
yeah, of course. And he's like, yeah, I felt so much better this time. I was like, huh, I wonder why.
Wait, okay, so before we like what did you coach him on? What did you give him tips on?
Nutrition.
Yeah,
He
carbs. Yeah.
carbs, fueling during the race, electrolytes during the race. He just did not do that. There was there was a lot he didn't know about running as a
Yeah.
whole, but everything
Yeah.
involved before he met me. So he's learned a lot. He's caught on, he's learned a lot. But yeah, he felt great. He had like I think like a 10-minute PR from his first race. So I was like,
Great.
yay, cool. But yeah, so he was actually the first one to tell me about it. And I kind of like to break up my running and training in the summertime and try to do some type of trail race
Nice.
instead of just constantly being on the roads and training for the roads 24/7.
Mm.
It mentally gives me a break for training for these type of trail races because I go into them just wanting to finish. I don't put pressure on myself of like a set time because I don't know how I'm going to perform at these trail races with like the altitude, the terrain, the weather,
The weather's
especially
huge.
at like higher altitude. You never know what's going to come in.
Mhm.
I actually experienced, I think I did this race 2 years ago. I did the Leadville Heavy Half, which is
Oh, yeah.
also a trail race. And the day I did it, we, as all the like runners, experienced pretty much every type of weather you could possibly think of that day. It was sleeting, it was snowing, it was raining, it was hailing, it was sunny, it was cloud, like windy, like everything. So that was another race I went into. I was like, I think I can maybe finish around this time, but I wasn't holding it to myself. So yeah, these trail races that I train for in the summertime is just I like to break it up.
Yeah.
So I'll still go out and train, obviously for the race itself, but the training looks slightly different than what I would do for a half marathon. Mimics a lot of very similarities to what I would do for a half marathon
Hmm.
training. And for me, I still like to keep up my speed work during that training piece, even though it is a trail race and I'm going slower.
Yeah.
I like to still continue doing speed workout, just thinking bigger picture for myself.
Mhm.
So I did speed training still for this trail race. You don't necessarily have to do that, but for me, I was thinking big picture of my half marathon in January of like I want to continue working on my speed, so I don't want to just push that aside just because I'm doing a trail race that's more of like a fun race for me. That's just me personally.
Yeah.
Not everyone has to do that.
Yeah.
But yeah, the training looked pretty similar in terms of like distances that I was running. I tried my best to get out to some type of trails as much as I could.
Mhm.
I went into the training thinking I was going to do a lot more trail running than I did, and life happens, and that just didn't work out. But again, I went this race for myself, and my fiance was, hey, let's go have fun. Let's do
Mhm.
this together. It's going to be hard, but we're going to finish. So at the end of the day, when I was like, oh, I didn't make it out to the trails today, I'm just going to do something more flat, I'm still getting that training in. It just looks a little different than what I had wanted to do.
Mhm.
But yeah, at the end of the day, it was very similar training to what I would do for a half marathon. I wanted to get up to 16 miles for one of my runs, and again, that just didn't happen because life. So the most I did was 14, but honestly, when I was going into the race, endurance wise, I felt so good. I
Yeah.
was like, I will be fine endurance wise. What I knew was going to get me was the going down piece. I'm really strong going up. I'm very, very strong going up. The downhill part is what gets me every time. And this race particularly got my legs really good going down. Within a mile of me going down, I was like, oh, my quads are burning already, and I still have 6 more miles to go. So
A
yeah, that
long
was
6
that
miles.
was that was a treat. But
Yeah. I mean, I
yeah.
think for context, like with the Leadville Heavy Half, for those that don't know, you are running 15 and a half miles essentially
Hmm.
in Leadville, which is at 10,000 feet. You gain about 3,000 feet, I believe, off of memory from
It's
past
about
coach
three.
athletes.
Yeah.
Yeah, so you're going up to about 13,000 feet, I want to say, and then you're dropping back down. And it's a pretty difficult course, but it's also super pretty, super
Hmm.
fulfilling. If you're coming from out of state, or even if you live in state, like practicing a little bit, I would say maybe at higher elevation, just because you're starting at 10,000 feet. But it's super fun, super pretty, super doable. But yeah, you get all those different weather elements for sure in any mountain race. And same is going to be true if you're hiking 14ers or anything of that nature. I'm a big believer in the speed work too. So you did speed work in this season. And what I loved about that, Hailey, is that you wanted to do it. It wasn't like you were burnt out from speed and you're like, but I still need to do speed. It was like, no, I feel really good. I want to take a break. I want to focus on trails. This is what I do during the summer, which is actually it's a really smart approach when you're balancing so much in life, and like you are balancing a ton. You're coaching, you're working full time. You got engaged this summer in Crested Butte.
Yeah.
Congratulations again.
You.
And there's a lot going on. And so to be able to kind of take like a step back and be like, I'm still going to do the structured training of as much mileage as I can during the week, get the long run up as much as I can without stressing about it, continuing to do that speed work. It's crucial. What we know to be true from David Roche, who's been a big believer in all the speed work when it comes to running ultras, is that the faster you are on the track, the better it can translate to your performance on the trails. Did you find that to be true? Or were you just like, I should have trained downhill more?
No, no. I don't think, I mean, yes, I should have trained downhill more. However, no, I'm
Good
really
job.
glad I did the speed work and I'm really glad I kind of formatted it more or less like I was training for a half marathon
Yeah.
because the speed work, the tempo stuff, the long runs, all of that pacing was much faster than what I raced at.
Yeah.
So when I came to the race day, even though I was at a higher altitude and I was going slower and maybe doing a little more running, walking, hiking throughout the race,
Yeah.
I felt so good the entire time
Yeah.
because we were going slower. We did take more walking breaks as you get higher up in altitude, obviously.
Yeah.
But yeah, I felt so good. And I think my fiance and I did great on like preparing like carb loading beforehand. The
Yeah.
race itself, they hosted like a spaghetti dinner the night before and you could pay like $12 and they'll give you like spaghetti, salad, bread, electrolyte
Great.
drinks. And I was like, "Oh yeah, this will be fun." And you grab your plate and it's kind of just like a station like buffet and there's people serving you stuff and I just hand the lady the plate and she just covered the entire plate with spaghetti and sauce. Like not even like a small portion, like the entire thing was
Girl,
just
you're gonna need this.
yeah. And I was like, oh, they know what they're doing. This isn't their first rodeo.
Yeah.
And I was
They're
like,
on
yes,
the carb train. They're on the
yes.
carb train.
And then you got a big like slice of bread with butter and they handed out water and electrolyte drinks. I was like, yes, this is perfect. So
That's so
between
great.
that and then just making sure we were fueling well with having electrolytes in our water on race day and making sure we're taking enough fuel because yeah, we were running for almost 5 hours and that's a long time. So making sure we packed enough fuel, taking the fuel more often than we probably needed.
Mhm.
The nice thing too about the aid stations, there was an aid station every 2 miles, both
Nice.
going up and down. And at each aid station, they had many more like electrolyte drinks. They had plenty of like snacky foods that
Mhm.
kind of touched both like the salt and sweet side of things. So a little bit of sugar, a little bit of salt. So they had like gummy bears, they had M&Ms, they had pretzels, they had crackers. So you were pretty set no matter where you were on the course.
That sounds so much better than a gel and some
Yeah.
water.
Yeah. I took my gels. I took my gels the entire time, but then I was like, ooh, let me get to the summit and eat some gummy bears. Yes, absolutely. Let me have some pretzels.
I love
I
it.
know at the summit point, they also had like a chicken noodle soup to hand out,
Wow,
some more salt within the broth.
that's
And
great.
that they got rid of that quickly.
I bet.
Yeah.
what do you feel like is the biggest difference then between like participating in a road race versus participating in a trail race?
I feel like the road race community, a lot of them have this like very set goal of like, I want to get this time. And they're like hyper focused of like, I'm going to get this time. I'm going to train for it. And I get to the running
Hardcore, yeah.
community, yeah, more so in the trail side. And everyone's just there having a good time.
Yeah.
Like, they're just like, yeah, let's just go do this. This is going to be fun. And we're going to struggle together. And
Yeah.
they're a lot more laxed, I'd say, and they just
Yeah.
enjoy running and being outside and being in nature and having very pretty views. The course itself was gorgeous.
Yeah.
It was probably the prettiest run race I've ever done. Leadville was really pretty too,
Mhm.
but I think this one was more pretty.
Yeah, Southwest Colorado is just like in a league of its own. Like
Oh,
it's
yeah.
just so great. And to be down there at that time of the year, which is like early September, it's awesome. Like
Yeah.
yeah, I mean I've heard a lot of trail runners talk about like the relaxed nature of like
Mhm.
trail running and how the vibe is just different. I've run a few trail races, believe it or not, everyone. I just mentioned the Telluride, like little I don't even know, 2 mile up the mountain. But I participated in like the Greenland 4 mile race that's in Larkspur. And it was really fun. And everyone was just there having a good time and making the most of it. And I think, if you are participating in road racing and maybe you're looking for something different, like giving trails a shot and seeing if that kind of rejuvenates maybe some energy back into your roads. It's definitely going to make you a stronger runner if you're doing
Mhm.
all that hill work. Now, Hailey, you live in Denver, which makes it, believe it or not, I guess for those listening, Denver is not hilly. Denver is not hilly. I think a lot of people who don't live in Colorado think Denver's hilly, but it's not. It's pretty flat. So getting to trails takes effort, it takes time. So on the weekends, were you and Ian trying to do some trail runs? I know Ian's family's from Boulder and Boulder has some great trails, like, or were you just really in that mindset of like, hey, we're going to do the best that we can do. We're going to do some hill repeats, maybe uphill repeats, maybe some downhill repeats, and it's going to be okay.
Kind of a mix of both.
Yeah.
So we did get out to the trails a little bit. You can get to the foothills and you can get great trails
Like
within
in
the
Golden?
foothills.
Yeah.
Yeah. Golden area is primarily where we went. And yeah, you can get a decent amount of like elevation out there. So you don't really have to travel too far, which like was very nice for the training purpose of this. And
Yeah.
then there was some, yeah, there was just some weekends we were just too busy and couldn't find that like a lot of time to drive out 45, 50 minutes, do a trail run, which you're going to be running slower. So that could take a good 2, 3 plus hours. And then driving all the way back, that takes up like 6 hours of your day, more or less. So
I know.
there were some days where we're just like, we're just gonna go to Highline. We're gonna get the miles in,
I know.
and we're just gonna get that time on feet on the dirt. And Highline is drastically flatter than going into any foothills area.
It's flat.
um, but it was
That's okay.
convenient for us because we live like 11 minutes, 12 minutes away from the start of the dirt trail of Highline. It was
Yeah.
pick and choose, kind of like, hey, we have time to do this. Great, let's get out to the foothills and do a trail race. Oh, or not
Yeah.
trail race, a trail run. And then there were some weekends where we're just like, hey, we don't have the time to do this. We're just going to get out to dirt. We're going to put some miles in. And then maybe throughout the week, like you said, Sarah, mix in some like hill repeats somewhere
Yeah.
in the middle. So it was a combination of both,
I think
at
that's
least for our
so
training.
And I think that's so healthy. It's like that balancing act of knowing what you can and can't do. And I think that's always intimidated me about trail running is the amount of time it would take because I already feel like marathon training takes up a lot of time, especially on that long run day of like, oh, you're out there for a little under 3 hours on the long run or 3 hours on the long run. Plus, even for me, it's like when I have to drive like 15 minutes, I'm like, oh, that's another 30 minutes of driving and then the stopping. And like, oh, maybe then you stop for coffee and food and all the things, right? It does add up. And I'm always super impressed with trail runners and how they can dedicate so much time to it because the time on feet is just so much longer, especially if you're following a plan or wanting to be out there for mileage versus the time on feet.
Mm.
It's probably the one thing holding me back, but I feel like it could be maybe my biggest breakthrough if I decide to lean into running more trails after Chicago or just doing something a little bit different with my running. What do you think is like, what do you think has been the biggest takeaway of the race or the run, I should
Of
say?
the run, yeah. I consider
Yeah.
it a race because I signed up for it. I
Yeah, you
paid
had a
for
bib.
it. I trained for it. I got a bib.
Yeah.
Like, it's a race to me. That was a race.
Yeah.
I don't know why they call it a run.
I know. It's on the website as
It was a
the
race.
run.
Yes, it was a race. It very much was a race. It was not just, hey, let's just go run this for fun.
I mean, maybe like that part of the state is definitely like, if people think like Denver Boulder, people are pretty intense with their movement, like that side of the state is like they're just
Yeah,
incredible athletes.
yeah,
Like I mentioned, kids were just passing me up this mountain trail and I'm like not slow.
yeah,
And I wasn't like trying to like race, a
yeah.
2 mile effort, but like I'm very similar to you where I can hike uphill quickly
Mm,
but downhill gets me. And that's probably the part that I need to practice the
yeah.
most if I want to do more trail running and just being comfortable with it because I
Mm,
get so timid. I'm so afraid I'm going to fall. I had a friend earlier this spring fall. She not only broke her hand, but she had a really bad concussion on top of it. And it just scares me because I don't want that to happen. And I feel like that would happen to me. So, anyways,
But back to your question, or yeah, your question for me, I think the takeaway that I took from the race is that, like, you can do hard things. Like, yes, it's gonna
yeah.
hurt in the moment, but like I finished it and I was like, wow, that was pretty cool that like I just ran up 5,000 or yeah, 5,000 feet of elevation going up in 10 miles
And then down.
and then down roughly about 7-ish.
Yeah.
And I think for me too, I didn't really know. Like, I knew what to expect out of the race, but I
Yeah.
think I also mentally went into it thinking it was going to be similar to Leadville. Or Leadville, you are going up and you're coming back down, and you start in Leadville and you end in Leadville. So you are going up a mountain and back down, starting in one location and finishing in a different location.
Yeah.
But the course for Leadville, I felt was more gradual. It was less elevation gain. And I felt like it was a lot more rolling type hills at the beginning.
Mhm.
Whereas the Imogene race had really no give to it. It was you were going straight up and you were going straight down. And I think when I got to the summit, I visioned the down part being more similar to the Uray side, where there were like a little more like rolling hills ish at the beginning. And so mentally, I was like, I'm going to get to a point on the downhill and it's going to let up a little bit. And it did not at all. It was just straight down. And that, yeah, that took a toll on my quads. It was about, yeah, 6-ish miles of just straight downhill running, walking, jogging, whatever you want to call it, to get to the finish.
Yeah. Have you raced a Rebel race before? Those are the
I've not.
races that are like you drop like 5,000 feet
Yeah.
over 26.2 miles. It's always very impressive when I see runners do that, or if I have athletes on the team who want to sign up for that, because I'm like, you're going to kill your quads. You can prepare as much as you possibly can. And at the end of the day, you're going to come out of that wrecked. Like,
Yeah.
I
Oh, yeah.
don't know many people who aren't and who don't have to take a longer recovery process from it. I think what I loved the most about this might have been on Strava is that at the start of the race director kept things very light for everyone. And he said, well, good news this morning, you only have one hill to climb. And you said he wasn't wrong. It was
Wasn't
one
wrong about
hill.
that. It was one hill, you climb up and you go down.
And you go
You look
down.
at the elevation like map on Strava, it literally is just up to a point and back down.
Yeah.
There was no like, oh, let it just kind of gradually start going up. It was just straight up, straight down
That's
for the
insane.
race. And yeah, you mentioned the Revel races. Just to put like things into perspective for people, you said they're about like 5,000 feet of elevation drop
For the
over
marathon.
26.2 miles.
Yeah.
For the imaging, once you got to the summit and you came down, it was somewhere between 4,000 to 5,000 feet of an elevation drop within 7 miles.
Yeah, 7 miles. That's
Yeah.
so wild. Did you have poles with you? Was it it had to have been super steep.
It was super steep. They
Probably
did
like
not
that.
allow any poles in the race. No poles in the race at all. It was not allowed.
Oh my god. For anyone who's hiked with me on, like, a super steep terrain, my brother-in-law being one of them, and, like, if I have tired legs, it is, like, not pretty. I just start crying, like, I'm just like, "I can't do this. I'm gonna fall." Like, I'm just so fearful of falling.
Oh, yeah,
Um
I was too. I was like, this is dangerous. No, there was so many like loose rocks. Like it wasn't
Oh
like
my
a
god.
fine gravel. It was loose rock the entire time. And I was just in my mind, I'm just like, I just need to get to the finish and I need to not fall. That was
Yeah.
like the only two things. And I was trying to keep those two things in mind because my quads were burning so much. I mean, thankfully,
Yeah.
my fiance was with me, so we kind of like tag teamed who was leading and who was following
Nice.
the whole time, which was nice because there was moments in the downhill that like I wanted to slow down, but I in my mind I'm like just stay with him because he's much stronger on the downhills. We kind of
Yeah.
flip flop. I'm stronger on the uphills, he's stronger on the
That's
downhills.
great. Good
So
team.
we work together as a team for that one. Yeah. So when he was leading, I was like, just stay with him because if you slow down, it's going to take you longer to get to the end and your quads are going to hurt longer. So
Yeah.
we tag teamed that a little bit. And one thing that we had talked about before the race too was I like to finish my races strong. I always run through the finish and run to the finish. I'm not going to
Yeah.
walk through the finish.
Yeah.
So, yeah, we ran through the finish and like even at the uphill part going to the summit, like the summit itself was like a finish for me as well. So I was like,
Oh,
even though I'm
100%.
sitting at like 13,000 feet, I am running to like whenever I see the summit, that like little like 25-meter bit, not even 25-meter, probably it's like 10-meter bit at that point. I was like, I am running to the top
Yeah.
to get to that summit. That was something just like I personally like to do. It makes me feel more accomplished than like, oh, I just like walked up to the summit. We definitely worked and feeded off of each other and just kind of kept each other in check. When we were at the start of the race, just waiting for the gun to go off, we just made sure like, hey, just communicate with each other. Like, if you need to slow down, let me know, and vice versa. Let me know when you need a break. Let me know when you want to lead, when you want to follow. So I think that teamwork really helped both physically and mentally for both of us.
Yeah, and it sounds like great communication too, which is such a big aspect to any relationship, and just knowing where each person is and being able to help each other if someone is struggling or if someone's feeling a little bit stronger, and being able to like help each other and pull each other. It's one of the best things about training with a team or having a coach is like that ability to have someone else there to kind of help you in those moments of maybe needing that extra help. I love it so much. And you were in Crested Butte this summer. I was there a few weeks before you were. We were both running trails. I love the Crested Butte trails because
Mm-hmm.
they're more dirt. They're
Yeah.
very runnable. You're still gaining some pretty good elevation on some of those routes, but like it's not like that really loose gravel that I'm picturing.
It was really loose.
Yikes. I'm like sweating just thinking about that. Like that just that is just not it for me. But maybe it's something that I need to work on. Maybe that's how I, have a breakthrough in something. I don't know. But I think it's such a good lesson of, putting yourself out there every summer. You're doing these trail races, which is very, very different than road races. You still kind of have that running road race mentality of like, I want to finish and cross the finish line feeling strong. I'm assuming you're the same way on the track. Like you come through the 400-meter split, like strong versus I see a lot of runners really pull back in the last few seconds and then they like they slow down and they jog over. And practicing that can help. Practicing that on the track can help for race day. So I love that you were able to like find the legs to like do it and conquer
Mhm.
it. Recovery. So we're recording this about maybe 10 days post race. Is that about right?
It was, yeah, roughly. It was September 3rd?
Okay. So about
Question mark?
12,
No,
12-ish.
I'm completely off. It was September 6th
Okay. Yeah. 10 days, week and a half ish. Yeah.
ish.
About a week and a half. Yeah.
Ish, yeah.
Yeah. Close to it. Recovery is looking a little bit different than Leadville that you
Mhm.
ran a few weeks or a few years ago. Does it look like this year? And what have you noticed to be differences? And kind of how are you flowing through the recovery process?
Yeah, so I guess we'll start with the race. Like once we finished,
Mm-hmm.
one thing that I was keeping in mind was with this race, because you're finishing in a different location, they have a shuttle bus that takes you back to your A,
Nice.
but you're going to be sitting for a good like 45 minutes to 50 minutes in a bus right after, not immediately right after your race, but like they had 2 or 3 shuttles at like certain times depending on
Yeah.
like when you finished. And so in my mind I was like, ooh, I'm going to be sitting down right after doing a hard trail race where my legs are pretty shot. So immediately when we crossed the finish line, I was like, we need to keep walking. Like, we don't need to like stop and sit down. Like,
That
we
is
need to keep walking.
Marathon 101.
We
Keep
need to
walking, keep walking,
keep
keep walking.
walking. That's how I approached it as. I was like, am I doing a half or a marathon right now? I was like, Ian, we need to keep walking. So we kept walking, and then we wanted to go to this pizza place in Telluride. I forgot the name of
Brown
it,
dog?
but yes, yeah, we wanted to go. But when we got there, they're like, oh, it's gonna be like a good 45 minutes to an hour wait. And with the time of the shuttle that was supposed to come based on when we finished, we're like, ooh, that's gonna be really tight. So we ended up continuing walking. So I'm like, this is good. So we kept walking, and then we just found this like other little restaurant just kind of off the main road, and they were
Yeah.
able to get us in. For me, immediately, not immediately after the race finishes, but like after I feel like the adrenaline has settled, my body has settled, I always crave either pizza or a hamburger
Yeah.
right after a race. So we each got a burger, fries, we got a milkshake. So I'm like, give
Good
me all
for
the
you.
calories. Give me the calories, give me the protein, because protein is good for muscle recovery right after a race. So I was like,
100%.
and give me all the calories that I just like burned through
Yeah.
running for 5 hours ish. So we
And
were
at
able to
higher
so
altitude.
and a higher altitude.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, all the above. And so yeah, we just like crushed the food because we were so hungry.
Did you go to the burger bar that's like on the same side of the street?
No,
No, somewhere else.
no, it was
Okay.
somewhere different.
Okay.
So yeah, we did that, and then we had to wait a little bit for the shuttle, but then yeah, you got on the shuttle, and oof, it was, you could start to feel the soreness kick in at that point. So
So, were you more sore after this race than your first marathon?
it
Anyone
was
who's run a
close. It was
marathon
close.
knows.
It was very close. It was very, very close, I'd say.
Okay, which one was worse?
That's what Ian asked me too. He's like, which one was worse? Because he's done a marathon too. And I asked him before this race
So funny.
yeah, he actually did Boulderthon last year. The marathon. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah,
I was like,
we love
okay.
Boulderthon, and that course is tough.
Yeah, there was reasons why he wanted to do it. More like personal reasons,
Yeah.
because his family is in Boulder. His grandma used to live in a house that was like that you passed up right on the course. And so he had more of like a personal, like, I want to do this because I'm going to run past my grandma's old house
That's
on the
cute.
course. So yeah,
Could he have done that in the half marathon?
I don't think so.
Oh, okay.
No, I don't think so. No. I told him, I was like, you should just do the half. But he went full. He has never done a half. He's like, nope, I'm just going to go for the marathon.
Wow. I bet
So
he was
that
sore.
that took him a good amount of time to recover both physically and mentally.
Yeah.
I think mentally more so than physically from something like that.
Oh,
Whereas when I did my first marathon, I had already done four half marathons or five. And I was like,
yeah.
I think I can do a marathon. I've done four or five halves now.
Yeah. Everyone thinks
Fun,
it's like, double, like,
double the yeah,
it's just like double the distance.
yeah.
How hard can it be? But it's like maybe triple or quadruple the amount of like time, energy, soreness, fatigue, recovery, like all the
Yeah.
things. It's not
Oh,
double. Nothing about it
yeah.
is double.
No,
Yeah.
not at all. But yeah, I don't know. And I think it was also the course that he did for his marathon. He
Yeah.
felt like the marathon was harder than this race.
Yeah.
And I would have to agree with that, mainly because there was a lot of things I think I did incorrectly on my first marathon that like
As we all
now
do.
I know better. So I don't know, maybe things would have been different. Like my answer might have been different if I would have done maybe a little more longer long runs and fueled a little better and just a lot of
Yeah.
different things different for my first marathon. But because I did things that now I know better, I did feel like the marathon was harder than this
Yeah.
race.
Yeah.
And I
That's
think
great.
also because the marathon, you're constantly running at either a consistent pace or a pace where you're hopefully wanting to at least try to negative split as much as you can. Because you're at that constant pace for so long, it's very different than trail racing or trail running, where you're going to be going much slower than your marathon pace. You're going to be taking more walking breaks the higher up in altitude you get.
Mhm.
In that sense, it is, I feel like, a little easier on the body. Even though you're running for a longer period of time,
Yeah.
you're not exerting as much, I would say. It's a
Yeah.
lot more lax.
You're using a lot of different muscles too in trail racing or trail running versus like running some marathon courses. Maybe not for
Mhm.
Boulder-a-thon like Ian's
Yeah.
experience last year. Plus that course last year, it's now changed. Was so exposed. It was a
Oh,
warm morning. It was so tough, I think, for a lot of people. You're running on dirt roads, a lot of hills, a lot of elevation gain. And I think it was like over 1,000 feet of gain in the marathon at altitude. Super tough, but like, yeah, being able to say like, oh, I'm using different muscles. I can go at a slower pace. I can do all these other things during this trail run and trail race. I can totally see that. I was just curious because anyone who's run a marathon, or let's say your first half marathon, that training when you're like, oh, I'm
mhm.
good at 9 or 10 miles for my long run. That is
Mhm.
painful. I have been
Yeah.
there. It gets a lot better the more that you train, the more races you run.
Yeah.
It does get better.
Yeah.
But I just thought that would be an interesting question to ask.
Yeah. Yeah, no, I thought the marathon was harder. But
Yeah.
again, I did the marathon back in 2017,
Yeah.
2018.
Uh-huh.
So it's been a few
Yeah,
years.
you've had a lot of training and
A
you're a
lot more
lot
training.
stronger.
Yeah, exactly. So, uh,
So, what has your recovery process looked like over the last week? I mean, I was on your Strava today and I was like, oh, she got back to running yesterday. So, the legs needed it, huh? The legs needed
yeah,
a break.
yeah, I took a solid week off of
Yeah,
no running whatsoever.
I love
A
that.
lot of yeah. I knew going into it, I was like, I will probably need to take at least a week off. That's what I did for the marathon. I
Yeah.
knew this would be very similar to what I would probably feel like when I did the marathon. And yeah, the first 2 days my quads were very, very sore.
Hmm.
It was struggle going down the stairs, like grabbing onto the railing, like
True marathoner right
your
there.
typical marathon, post marathon feel in the legs. Yeah, it felt exactly the same.
Oh my gosh.
And then just slowly every day, just making sure I'm obviously eating enough, recovering enough. Once the legs started feeling not too sore, then either like rolling out, using a massage gun, and I think just making sure I was just like taking that time to relax, and not feel like I'm falling behind in any way of like, oh, I'm taking a week off. I've done it before. you get right back into it and you're back in the groove again. The first few runs are hard. I'm in that spot right now where I ran yesterday, and I think I felt good yesterday because I had taken a week off, and now my legs yesterday were like, this is great. And then I ran this morning, like I said earlier, and the legs felt heavy at a pace that is a normal, typical, pretty easy-ish run pace for me.
Yeah,
And even my heart rate was higher than it typically is at my easy run pace. So I was like, oh, yep, the body
totally.
clearly still needs some time
Yeah,
to recover, but yeah, I'll just keep taking things easy.
yeah,
Thankfully, I have about a month-ish of just kind of having some runs here and there before I start getting into my training for my half. So it'll be a lot of just like base stuff for this month and enjoying taking things a little easier before getting back in the groove of things of training through the fall and the winter.
yeah. I love that so much. It's like you proved yourself right in this race. You were able to do it. You conquered your fear of going downhill at that steep grade for that distance. Maybe not your fear, my fear, but like you got it done. And I think it's so inspiring that I think it's also a really great, yeah, inspiring message that we can get outside of our box. We can do hard things. We can do other things. We don't need to just continuously train for the same distance or for roads versus trails. Obviously, in Colorado, it's a little bit easier to train on trails or for trail races rather than other parts of the country. But you're proving yourself right. You're doing hard things. And, training for a marathon's a hard thing. But if you've been training for marathons over the last handful of years, maybe you can get outside of your comfort zone and do something a little bit different. And when I say that, I'm also saying that to myself of like being able to do something a little bit different, whether that's taking time off, which I'm really proud of you for doing, especially that week after a hard effort like that. Like that should be normalized, like taking that time off. You're not going to lose any fitness. If you raced, you have just raced your fitness off anyways, but like it's not going to hurt your half marathon training build. If anything, it's going to help you because you're going to adapt, you're going to recover, you're going to feel a lot stronger going into this build. So I think those are both some messages that I'd love for our audience to take away today, is that we can step outside of our comfort zone, we can do hard things, we can recover, we can take a full week or more off of running. I know for sure if I end up racing Chicago and I don't blow up, which is like a legit concern at this point with the way marathon pace feels, it's going to be well over a week that I take off from running for sure. And I think the more that people in this space of, we have people who look up to us, we coach athletes, for them to see that demonstrated is such a great thing. So I really like commend you on like leaning into all those things. Um, so you have the Austin half coming up in January. Do you have any tune-up races or anything else kind of on the Cal?
Not really, no. I'm considering maybe doing another 5K at the end of October right before I start the half marathon training,
Is that
but
local?
it'll be local. Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah.
I
We'll
won't be
see.
ready
I
to do that.
haven't I haven't fully decided if I'm going to do that yet.
Cool.
In my mind, I obviously knew I had signed up for the imaging race, and I knew Boulderthon was at the end of this month. And
Yeah.
I had done the 10K last year for Boulderthon.
Yeah.
So I experienced the heat too. It was even hot for the 10K. And that was not an easy course either for a 10K
No.
at all.
No. So they have
No.
changed the course this year because
You did.
I do love this race and I love the race experience. I love the race organizers. But yeah, I mean, they've changed the last mile of the race, so it does give a little bit of that reprieve of like just that slight up, which is
Hmm.
what Boulder really is. I think a lot of people think of Boulder as rolling hills, but it's really just long grades of incline unless
Yeah.
you go into the North Boulder roads, you get more rolling. So the 10K is like 2.5 miles downhill. You feel great.
You feel fantastic the first half.
Fantastic.
You
Pace
feel
is coming
so good.
in, 10
Yes.
seconds hot per
Hmm.
mile. You feel great. You're
Yeah.
like, I am the fastest person alive right now.
Yeah.
You make the turn and it's a very quick kick in the gut. trying to survive. So the last mile they changed so it's flat. So you get
Okay.
off of the graded incline and then it's a flat to the finish, which is awesome. And it's such a fun, fun, fun experience. Obviously, for this year, it's probably too late for anyone to sign up unless you're local, but definitely consider it next year. There's a big
Yeah.
team, Elevate team racing this year. We'll be everywhere on race weekend, the shakeout run, on course. We have a big cheers squad on course, which is going to be great. And then I'll be sending stuff out for meetup after the race. So it's going to be so much fun. But yeah, it's a super hard course. Like, it all depends on what you're looking for. Do you want the training stimulus or do you want a personal best? Personal best might not be on this course. Yeah.
Yeah, probably not.
Yeah.
I know I had contemplated before doing the trail race. I was like, ooh, maybe I'll just jump into the 5K for Boulderthon. But
Yeah.
after my recovery week, I was like, no, we're not going to do that. That's okay.
That's okay.
I was
That's
like,
okay.
maybe next year.
Yeah.
Maybe. Well, now that they've changed the course, I was like, ooh, if they keep this course for next year, I'll
Yeah. So
probably
the
jump in
5K,
it.
5K too also has that flat finish, which is going to be really great. Yeah, 5Ks at altitude are just so hard because
All right.
sometimes you're like running half marathon pace and you're like, I can't go any faster today. Like this is
No.
this is what we're doing.
Yeah. Yeah. Maybe I'll do that or I'll do the Rhino 5K next year. I don't
Yeah.
know. I don't know.
That's a great course. Great course,
Yeah.
great vibes, great people. It goes to a great like the proceeds go to a great cause. There's one hill and it's in mile 2. They changed it from like summer, really warm 5K to like September and I think they had a really great turnout it was this past weekend and yeah, it's a super fun race. I'm just thinking about next year.
Yeah. Yeah. Maybe I'll come up for Boulderthon though. Maybe I'll come
I
up with you
know.
guys and just do a little shakeout run with you guys and cheer you on.
Definitely. That
Yeah.
would be so much fun. I know there's a cheer squad. It's going to be in the WhatsApp thread for like the main group. There's
Okay.
definitely a group coming up and cheering on the 10K and half marathon course. Probably like around mile 2. It's before the turn.
Okay.
Yeah. Well, I'm super excited for you. I'm super excited for you to fully recover, to have your legs back, to
Yes.
really train, not like really train, but just train for the Austin International Half. I think it's going to be a really great weekend for everyone in that part of the country, hopefully everywhere in the country, but we have a lot of
Yeah.
races that weekend.
Yeah. Hopefully it's cool again that weekend. It was so nice this year.
I
I don't know
know.
how Houston was. Austin was very, very cold,
It
but
was
I was
cold and
like, oh,
windy.
this is what I've been training in. This is fantastic.
Yeah, yeah. I hope that too. The last time I took a group of this size, it was the year I raced and like blew up at mile 10 and it was like 60 degrees, 90% humidity. It's like if you've been training in like I had a group from Minnesota, a group from Colorado, like we've been training in the cold.
Mhm.
It's such a shock to the system that like you can only do what you can do. Like I was standing at the start line with a team member and she looked over at me and we had already ran like a warm up and we were just like sweat was everywhere. And she was like, when do you think we're blowing up today? And I'm like, Vanessa, don't talk about that.
Say
But like,
that. Yeah.
seriously, also, I
Yeah.
get it. Like, yeah,
That might have been the year that I did it too. I struggled
it
so
was in
hard.
23, 20, it
Was
was in,
it?
it was in 2023 because I
Yep.
went in.
That's when I did it, I
Yeah,
think.
that was super tough.
Yeah.
Super tough. If it's a cool day in Houston, shout out to Houston. We love Houston. They're in their last tier of pricing for this race. If it's a cool day, it is a fast course.
Mhm.
Like it is so awesome. I've had incredible breakthrough days on that half marathon course. I've raced there 4 times and I think 2 of them were breakthroughs. One was like whatever. It was kind of like a Rust Buster 5K last year and then one was that blow up with
Mm.
and stuff. The whole race weekend is super well organized. They do a really great job. So if you're looking for a January race, you can join Hailey in Austin
Mhm.
or the Elevate team in Houston. So we'll be representing Texas. But thanks so much for your time today, Hailey. It was really great to connect with you and talk with you about this experience and offline about life and other things. And everyone's rooting for you. And you have coaching spots open too for fall, winter 2026. And if anyone's looking for a running coach who supports them, who's easy to talk to, who motivates them, Haley's your girl. So please reach out and we'll get you connected with Hailey. Hailey, any final last words that you'd like to leave our audience with?
This was a fun conversation. I don't
Good.
usually get to talk about like trail stuff because I feel like at least with our group that we coach, it's so road heavy
Road heavy.
that people like the roads. You get to run fast. So
Yeah.
getting to talk about some trail stuff. I'm no trail expert. I don't view myself as some like ultra person. I don't think I'll ever run an ultra.
Ooh,
But
never say
any like
never.
shorter, I know that is true. I don't know. We'll see. As of right now, those terrify me. So, but shout out to John. Crushed.
John Kinner.
He crushed it. He crushed it this past weekend.
I know. He ran the 100 mile in Steamboat, Run Rabbit, and I haven't talked to him yet, but it looked like he had a great day. Like he was definitely on my mind when I was running my marathon workout. That was like too hard for me to do. And I just kept thinking about John, and I was like, John is in like mile 95 now. Like you
I
just
know.
have to keep going.
I know. I woke up. I was like, pulling up the stats. I'm like, please tell me he didn't stop. And it just kept showing the times. I was like, oh my gosh, he's like 7 miles away from the
He
finish. I was like,
crushed
this is
it.
wild. And he crushed it.
Top
He did so
25.
well. Yeah, he
Top
did so
25.
well.
Such He's such a strong runner. He's such a great inspiring team member to have on the local team. We worked together for his CIM build last year. We were able to get like a 9-minute PR. He finally broke 250 all in one training cycle. It was incredible. He's such a talented ultra runner, really talented on the roads. And this summer, he joined the summer team in Denver on Wednesday nights, and he's been practicing speed and getting in his long runs at elevation and just getting that elevation in on the weekends. And the team really loves him and supports him, and he supports the team. And he's such a great, integral team member to have locally. So we really appreciate John.
Yeah. And I think it's nice too having someone that has been through the experience of both road and trails
Yeah.
and can kind of give different insights with those two things, especially if someone's interested in doing trails.
Yeah. And he's so balanced with it, and he
Hmm.
helps everyone. He will
Yeah.
run with anyone and run their pace with them and really support them and maybe like inspire them if they're feeling less motivated. One idea I had next summer, which this could lend really well for you, Hailey, is I'm trying to change the group training stuff a little bit, just to do something a little bit different, maybe for my own sake of not rinse and repeat. And one of the things I thought about is like, we could over the summer, yeah, if people have marathons to train for, great, but like maybe we do some of like the Trail Ragnar series, or we train
Mhm.
for a trail race, or we just do something different where like the weekends we're on trails. We can still work speed on Wednesday nights, but we're just doing something a little bit different to kind of help with that monotony that can be road racing.
Yeah, I think that's a fun idea. Yeah, that's a big reason why I like to jump in the trails in the summertime. Plus, it's gorgeous here in
So
the
nice.
summertime to get out to the trails and just like be out in nature instead of being on the roads in a city. That's another reason why I like running on the trails in the summertime.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah,
it breaks it up.
I get that as someone who runs in Denver and primarily Boulder because that's where I live, but like I mean there Denver has a place in my heart always, so like anytime I get to run in Denver is like it's a great day. And having to stop my watch at lights and things like that can be a lot. So like in Boulder, it feels even if you're on like Bobo Link, which is flat soft surface, like it still feels like you're kind of
Out.
surrounded by
Yeah,
it. Yeah, it's
yeah,
just a little bit
yeah.
different. It's free flowing, the North Boulder roads. You're not stopping for lights. Hopefully, you're stopping for cars if you need to, but the cars are usually really great at stopping for you. And it's a really great place to train. And something I was thinking about actually like this weekend was I did a 20-mile long run. And I mean, it felt hard from like the start. So I was like, well, it's kind of due for this. So let's just get through it. it really took a lot out of me on Saturday. And I was like, this is what I can't stand about marathon training because it's a gorgeous day and I don't have any energy or desire to take my dog out on hikes or take her for a trail run if I wanted to, or most likely a hike. And getting back into that, hopefully next summer, because like there's just so much goodness and so much beautiful there's so many beautiful areas and trails that we can really tap into, and just try something different next year. We'll see.
Yeah. I think people would be up for it just to switch things up.
Yeah, yeah, for sure. And it'll be a whole new set of learning lessons and how we treat rolled ankles and all those things. So everyone, I will work on my downhill running so
Yeah.
no one is held
Train the
up for
quad.
me. I know.
Trains the quads. That's the one thing I did not do enough of. I did a ton of glutes. I did a ton of hamstring, ton of calves. Those felt totally fine. The
Yeah.
quad. Did not do enough quads.
I mean, I hear that from a lot of ultra runners. If there's significant downhill, is like I did not train the quads enough, and even Boston marathoners, it's like we work so hard on the uphill, training the Newton hills. What we
Mm.
don't really consider, most coaches don't consider, is like how impactful that down is because the majority of the race is actually down. Like my coach Nell said to me, if you're having a good day it's a downhill race. Like that's how you see it. If you're having a tough day, you think of it as an uphill race. And that's really an interesting kind of way to look at the Boston course. Yeah.
Yeah, that is.
Yeah. Well, thanks again for your time today. You're amazing. If you're looking for coaching with Hailey, you can reach out. You can send me an email, Sarah, SARA at elevaterunning.com. I'll absolutely put you in contact with her ASAP for you to connect, see if it's a good fit, and crush those 2026 goals. We also have Coach Amber, who's also a really big trail runner. So maybe this is a sign. I don't know. We
Great.
need to get something together. This is so great. And we appreciate everyone for listening this week. Thanks again, Hailey. I appreciate you. And I hope everyone has a great week.
Thanks, Sarah.